What's up, everybody? We are here, episode 2, the developer and the gamer, as I like to say it, the dev and the gamer. Man, it's glad to have you back, Don. I mean, there's been people that's been asking, were we going to do this again? And yeah, we're here. The show is about to get started, and we're doing this one live. We're doing it live. So for anybody that's out there, you want to jump in on the chat, we'll definitely appreciate your feedback, and we're gonna get started. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Don.
The Don, people commonly know me as the guy that tells people to kiss the ring, or at least Xbot tells people to kiss the ring when he says my name. Something about air conditioned chinchilla, all that good stuff. But I'm just happy to be here. It's a bummer when I can't make it live for the GRG crew. I was very honored when you guys invited me to kind of join you guys, and I knew this was going to be a problem, but we found an alternative. When I can't make it, we're going to try to do this as much as possible, and just kind of carry on the conversation. I think people keep starving for podcast stuff. I mean, it's just how it goes, right?
Yeah, definitely. I know about this. Good grief! But no, it's like I was saying on the next podcast. I love talking about games. I love playing games. It's my favorite hobby in the whole entire world. So, why not get to talk to somebody that's deep into gaming, not only as a gamer but as a person that makes games. It's pretty remarkable. You know what I'm saying? The people that you get to meet and interact with. I mean, this YouTube thing, it's a gift and it's a curse. Especially if you stay away from that crumb side, it's always a gift. So, man, we're definitely happy to have you on GRG, and just happy to have you on tonight. So, man, why don't we get started with the first topic of the night? Are you ready?
And let's do this.
All right, cool. All right, so there was something that we was talking about last night. It was the pros and cons of the PlayStation and the Xbox, because the PlayStation 4 is the more popular system, but is it the better system? So we're even going to step it up a little bit more, and we're going to actually talk about all three systems. So are you down for that?
Yeah, let's definitely do that, and then I'm going to try to keep it a little bit more on task and not keep listing the pros on the other machine. And we're trying to do
That was a shot at, that was a crack at Xbot
Oh,
448.
oh, dude, I owe the world to that guy. I mean, he's definitely given me a voice that I don't think anyone would have listened to if it weren't for him. But at the end of the day, man, you couldn't stay on topic, man. You just had to jump the shark. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, no, it is. Oh, what's up with you? Who's next? Now, this is the GRG podcast is on Friday nights, but this is the pregame to, or the precast to the GRG. We've been trying to do this all this week. You know what I'm saying? It's just we're just having a problem with trying to get it together. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Don has been like, hey man, we're gonna do it, and I'm like, yeah, and then my old ass fall asleep. So this is the precast. You know what I'm saying? This is just me and Don, and we normally pre-record it so we can have it ready for Friday, then so people can listen to it and to hear Don's take on stuff. And then, for everybody in the podcast to hear what Don say, on Friday nights, that's kind of happened. But tonight it's been a couple of weeks actually. So we just said we'll just decide to do it this week or this Saturday, and then if we get a chance to do it this coming up week, then we'll have the third episode popping. But that's what's going on. Who's next?
Man, he may have just did a long way of saying he was the procrastinator. He just kept procrastinating it. So, but you guys asked, we shall give you what you guys are asking for. So
Yeah, we got who's next on here, man, and he said, "What's up, Don?" So you know what I'm saying. So
yeah, he's a good dude.
yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. So that's it. So anyway, man, let's get out to the first topic, man, and that was basically the pros and cons of all three consoles. So let's start with the Xbox. I'm going to go ahead and let you take it away. And matter of fact, you just start off on which one you want to, but it's all about the cons.
No, let's go with Xbox.
Okay,
Let's roll
okay.
with that, right?
All right, cool. Let's go.
So I kind of definitely have a unique situation where I look at it from a consumer standpoint. Me
Mm-hmm.
as a consumer that bought the hardware or going to buy hardware, and I also look at it from the development side of things as well. So really felt like when they released the console, and they did everything that they could, but it was kind of undercooked when it was released, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the UI was, it worked. It wasn't intuitive. That was another issue with the UI.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of the design of the controllers were really good, but I remember the original launch controllers were kind of rickety cricket. If you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. They weren't as refined as I would like to see from a console launch and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just they started off. They didn't start off where they left off on the previous console, and that was a huge major con for me when it came to Xbox. There's definitely a little bit of a quality control issue when it comes to the Xbox Elite controller. I have a different problem than Bot. I keep having the analog sticks break. I'm literally on my fourth Elite controller. Uh,
Jesus, man, I'm still on my first one.
it's the same problem. It's always the analog stick going out on it in regards to that, and it's always the left one. It's the same one too every time. Um, in regards to that, I don't have the shoulder button problem that Bot has. That's actually an easy fix. That's like you can go on Amazon. You shouldn't have to do this as a consumer, but
Mm-hmm.
Bot really wanted to fix that. I mean, honestly, it would cost them maybe $2 or $3 off Amazon to fix it. It really is an easier one. Analog stick is a much harder one because what ends up happening is you have to the analog module on the board. You have to like literally solder it off to fix it. In regards to that, so I really kind of have an issue with the Elite controller. There's some cons. I love the controller. It's kind of a love-hate thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you don't want to use anything else. But the same token, you'd expect a premium product to last a premium time frame.
I
If
agree.
that makes any sense.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's kind of my big con there. The development tools were a little bit undercooked.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't really able to take advantage of everything up front, so that's on the development side. It's not the first time it's been pulled. People mentioned it before. In regards to those are kind of my cons with the Xbox. Just to be totally honest with you guys. For next, or should we do PlayStation on the cons?
Well, I guess I'll just go. And just make my cons about the Xbox. It was some things that I'm going to repeat some of the things that I said last night. One was something that you touched on was the UI, the launch. Man, the launch was so bad. But the UI compared to what it is now, man, it was piss water. it was bad. I hated the fact that you couldn't interact with the people on the 360. That was pretty bad, and that kept a lot of people that was on the 360, from buying an Xbox One, because I had to get on my 360 and talk to them, and they were like, "Well, how is it?" And they're like, "Why we can't communicate with one another?" And I said, "I don't know. They're supposed to be making some changes or whatever, but I don't know when that's going to happen." And of course, it happened a year and a half later. So yeah, that was a fail. They shouldn't have brought this. They should have just waited, in my opinion, to bring out the X1. I know that they were trying to counteract with the PlayStation, but it was already a bad situation from the get, and I bet if they go back and they look back at what went on, it didn't make a difference anyway. The PlayStation is just dominating this generation. Another thing, like
because that's what slowed down everything you talked about, right? Is their original vision got in the way of developing all that other stuff and being ready to go.
right,
You know what I mean?
yeah. The $500 price, you know what I'm saying, over the Connect, that was a major fail.
Yeah, that was $500, and you still had to buy it with the Connect at launch, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then they lied. They lied and said that you had to have the Kinect in order for it for the Xbox One to work. That whole Kinect situation was an absolute fail. That was terrible. The lack of JRPGs this generation, that's bad. That's a definite con. Advertising, that is another con. That's something that that I think all of us from next gen on down, they have been very, very, very weak when it came to advertising a lot of especially their newer titles.
I have a different feeling on that.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Definitely tell an opinion. Well,
It's just me and you, so you gotta cut in.
Well, no, well, here's the thing with advertising.
Uh-huh.
When a new IP happens, they never really actually is known for this. They don't really dump a lot of advertising into a new IP. That's usually the structure of it. So, you can take Recore, you can take Quantum Break, you can take, you know, you can take those games for example, right? But if you rewind the clock back to say the original Xbox or Xbox 360, right?
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a ton of advertising around Gears of War, the original Gears of War. There wasn't a ton of advertising around, particularly around Halo. And the main reason why they don't do a ton of advertising on that because they don't know if that product resonates with an audience yet. If that makes any sense.
No, that makes sense.
When you do see a sequel green-lighted, right, and that's where Xbox is. We'll see if they have a problem with it or not. At least the perception's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sequel green-lighted, right? Then they have a projection number they can go to say, we can advertise at least this much. And every time that franchise grows, the advertising grows. You can use Call of Duty, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? They advertise more and more each release, right? So that's kind of how advertising in franchises and sequels typically work. So when I look at it from that perspective, they're advertising more than I expect.
Oh, okay.
For a new IP, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And the main reason why we have these conversations is so people can kind of look at it from that lens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's going on. And everyone's entitled to their opinion, but what I do encourage people to do is look back at that time when an IP is new, and compare it to when an IP is new now, and see what you see. In regards to that, and advertising doesn't always, I may have seen more of the advertising versus somebody else, so that's all subjective. But that's always kind of my take on the advertising. So
yeah, well, then I just look at it from I've said this about Quantum Break, such a good quality game, and it just didn't get. It was already in a bad spot because it got delayed, and then you got Sunset Overdrive. It just gave ammunition for the people that has a deep disdain towards Xbox to use it against them and their fans because of the fact that those games didn't sell particularly the way that people thought that they should. And so that's why I bring up that point.
I think Quantum Break would have done a lot different if it was released around this time.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Because of the take on that, what's going on out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you add that along with you change the formula just a little bit. I think the only legitimate gripe that I have about Quantum Break, and I think a lot of people talked about this, there's nothing wrong with doing the cutscenes the way they did. I actually kind of like that.
I did too.
What you do need, I did feel like it was a little light on the gameplay versus the cutscene. That percentage needed to be tweaked a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a tangent. I need to let you keep going on your cons and stop contradicting them. Keep on going there.
Oh yeah, that's fine. No, I just I'm just gonna let's see. It's mostly the game situation to me. The Master Chief Collection, that was botched. I don't know why Microsoft and 343 wanted to force the issue when all they had to do was just delay it for a couple of more months, and I think everything would have been flawless. But to have that game come out, there was such an ambitious feat. I don't think any other company has ever tried to blend all those, as many games together and do what they were trying to do with it. But regardless of the fact, it still was a fail. The game is great. The multiplayer still has its issues because because of the loading time, not the loading times, but the time to wait to get into a game, a match, or whatever. But man, I mean, for such some an awesome game that I think people would still be playing uh, to this day, like just crazy. They should have just waited. That was one of I think that's the one that hits me the most. Is because I was when I seen that I was like, oh man, this is epic. I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to be playing on this forever, and now it's pretty much almost dead in the water because of the problems that they did, and they didn't go back and do anything with it.
It's kind of was that leftover pride, right? That
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft had leading into it, because that's so close, much closer to the launch than other things were.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like that was kind of partially a drive. I'm not giving them excuses. I'm agreeing with your con. I really feel like that was kind of part of it,
Mm-hmm.
and not having that foresight. I mean, they did what they could, but when they did their testing, when they scaled up, let's give them credit where credit's due.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it failed, right?
Right.
And that's where we run into the problems we ran into. So yeah, I agree with you. Taking their biggest franchise and putting such a stain on it, that's huge.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's
That was hard.
it's making an awful Mario game. It's like that's like
Yeah.
yeah, it's like not cool.
Yeah. It's
Not
not
cool at
cool.
all.
And then like my last one will be man, the this love fest that came about this year. Xbox is kind of in a sparse moment right now, and that they and I have no problem with them showing love to Nintendo or PlayStation for whatever game. But when you had Halo Wars 2 out there, which is a really really good game, especially for RTS, and people are not into RTSs like they used to. um I think they dropped the ball on that, and I think that was the reason why it had the sales numbers that it has right now, because they were over here promoting Zelda and Horizon Zero Dawn instead of promoting Halo Wars 2. I think that was an absolute fail. It was actually pissing me off because, like I was explaining before, it's like you don't see Burger King over here having people, employees, talking about how good the Big Mac is. You see what I'm saying? So I just don't see.
Yeah,
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 this new Big Mac is delicious. Oh my god. I mean, well, this is great. Oh my god. See, yeah,
yeah. You and me have
yeah,
definitely been in agreement on that. I
yeah.
think there's a way to do it in a classy way that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't give it too much weight, but it's not taking shots or anything like that. It's just being nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the day, you have to give somebody, for people that love your system, to kind of go to and feel safe,
Mm-hmm.
right? And right now, a lot of Xbox gamers, it's getting better, right? But a lot of Xbox gamers don't have media outlets to make them feel safe to go to, right?
Right.
That they're not going to be criticized or chastised. So
Yeah, and then well, I do got one more, and that was the handling of Scalebound. Not because Killer Phil went ahead and dropped Platinum Games for their lack of production. It was because they took too much time. I they should have did this last year. The weight of everything. They were on the hype of having the Xbox One S out. It was winning MPDs. There was still strong momentum, and then Scalebound would have been last year's issue. But for them to allow it to happen coming this year with Scorpio, being what was the big rage for Xbox fans, it kind of made it almost kind of turned on them in my estimation, because there were so many media outlets and so many haters of Xbox using it against them. There's still people that talked about Scalebound, even though there were so many people that didn't give a damn about Scalebound, but they still wanted to use that as ammunition, even though we know that there's so many delays happen all the time. But I feel that Xbox dropped the ball on that as well. Instead of doing it this year, they should have announced that last year. You know what I'm saying? I think they knew the writing was on the wall last year.
yeah, I think that goes to, you can look like a pro or con of like Phil, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Phil really wanted to give him a chance. Because they had a lot of money spent on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
They really wanted to see it coming. And I think I remember when I talked on Next once, someone says, "Hey, what franchise would you want them to see them trade with, say PlayStation, and PlayStation trade with Xbox, sort of thing." basically asking which exclusive do you wish was on Xbox instead,
Mhm.
and what you would have to trade to get it. And the very first thing I wanted to trade was Scalebound because I said, man, that game's not showing up very well. It's not presented very well. It's not running well. It's been in development almost like 5 years. Um, you know, it's supposed to be at E3 twice, and then it was never playable at E3. All these sort of situations, regarding Scalebound, I really felt like the writing was on the wall that thing was going to be canceled before everyone else kind of knew about it. And it's one of those times I wish I was absolutely wrong
Mhm.
about my prediction. But no, it got canceled because, well, they're basically just chewing up money. And honestly, it sucks because it chewed up money for anything else that could have been on Xbox that people asked for Xbox that just doesn't happen because of money reasons.
Right.
So they just kind of had to cut them off, right? So they can put that money into places where it can be productive. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm still more upset with Platinum Games, but Xbox, that was just they waited too long for that. But okay, now we're moving on to because I don't know how long my list might be for the PlayStation. So let's go ahead and go to Nintendo and talk about their cons. Starting with you, man. Go ahead. What is your list? Might be long. Shit for
no,
Nintendo.
I'm genuine though. Like I'm not here to just hate on them. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
I'm a I was a Nintendo fan way before I was ever an Xbox fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is the thing that made me a console gamer. But at the end of the day, there's just certain things that just they're just missing on that hardware platform. I don't, the third party support is a big one. Regardless of what type of game somebody wants on the hardware,
Mm-hmm.
it just isn't there. And time will tell if it will ever be there or not. And I'm sure we'll get into this when we talk a little bit more about Switch. Um, and then just it's really comes down to the third party support. Now I don't really care about the native resolutions and things like that on really something that's kind of a portable more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to be able to have the options to play those sort of experiences on the go, right? And I think that's something that portable players have always kind of wanted, in a reasonable price point in a reasonable fashion, and they're willing to compromise in other areas. But the problem is being able to port things to that system. It just has to be a totally different game. The Basically the power delta is just way too much between the hardware that's been standardized in our homes and what they're doing. So at the end of the day, it's just going to be really good first party games, and that's kind of my biggest gripe. At the end of the day, I think the cartridge price thing is going to be an issue, but that's more on the developer side of things. We'll see how that all pans out. Really, the power delta is just too much. It's too much to make it so you can port games over, and it's not easy to port games over. People won't support it. I mean, that's simple as that, right? That's how game development works. If it's too difficult, developers will move on if because it'll cost them too much money, and if they don't feel like they'll get the sales, they won't get the sales, and then there's really no reason to release their games on that platform. So that's kind of it's a big one, but that is the one thing that I feel is a major con with Nintendo.
Yeah. I agree.
Is
Wow.
is
Nintendo pulls in my. I think Nintendo does something that for us older gamers, for us root gamers, they pull at your heartstrings, and maybe not so much for you, Don, but for me, when I hear Nintendo, I
don't get
get
me wrong, they still do. They still do.
I get giddy, man. Every time that I hear something that Nintendo is doing, I get giddy because it's Nintendo. I remember that was what got me into gaming. I remember Rygar was that game that made me a true gamer. Like, what I'm saying? I had
It
the
was Ninja
Atari.
Gaiden.
Well,
Ninja
damn.
Gaiden on the NES.
Oh, yes, yes,
Dude,
yes.
I actually finished that game. before
Did
there was
you?
Gamer Score, right? Yeah, I was able to finish that.
No,
I
I
finished
finished the arcade, but I didn't finish it on the NES. But yeah, I
Yeah, I
finished
finished
arcade.
all 3 NES games that there
Wow.
was, and all the Mega Mans. Like, I was all about finishing games on the 8-bit era, the 8-bit hard, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. No, but that was just the thing about
Nintendo.
Nintendo. Yeah.
I think
So,
I kind of fell in love with them after the GameCube.
it was the Nintendo 64 for me. I know a lot of people might crucify me
Okay,
for that.
gotcha.
Yeah, but
That's
you
fine.
know. But anyway, but okay. Um, the Wii U. The Wii U was no. Let me go. The Wii. The Wii was to me was the destruction of of what I knew Nintendo to be. You knew Nintendo was going to give you great content. They were going to give you damn near perfect hardware. Even to this day, the old NES, I have the old NES, and I could blow on a cartridge, put it in there, and eventually it'll start working. You know what I'm saying? The machine will cut on automatically, but the game, you got to keep blowing on it, and it'll eventually, they were superior with that. But now, with the Wii, that was such a gimmick. That was, they that was a one hit wonder, and they should have known when they went and made the Wii U that that wasn't gonna gravitate to the public as well. I don't, that they were so out of touch with the cat with what the gamer is today, that they still thought that they could just make and do anything that they want and people were still going to gravitate to them. And I think that's why Nintendo went through that state of just like, hey, I don't even care about a Nintendo. I want to give me a PlayStation or an Xbox or a PC instead of that. And you know, um,
There
that
was
was
that
one
certain
thing.
point where it feels like they didn't care about you as a gamer. So
Mm-hmm.
you're like, why do I care about them?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's that feeling that they kind of left you with.
Yeah. Well, the games, you had Gears of War, you had God of War, and then you had bowling. You know what I'm saying? I was just kind of like you had Wii U. I mean Wii and Wii U bowling. No, man. And then the Wii had a lot of games, but the Wii U had so few great titles that it was, what I'm saying, it was just not a memorable system. It wasn't even Nintendo to me. It was kind of like, what the hell is this? I was completely floored when they tried to try to sell this system at that price, and while the competition was giving better performance, better hardware, better games, and they still kept on thinking that everybody was going to gravitate to them, and that's a major con with Nintendo with me. And then another one is their policy. Their policy is in the Stone Age. They're very greedy. Again, they act like they don't understand what's going on in the gaming world. They only care about their bottom line, and for content creators is what makes it actually, to me, is what made the PlayStation 4 what it is today. Is
Oh yeah.
because and so
You could say the Xbox One wouldn't have survived when it weren't for content creators as well, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the thing of it is that I think that Nintendo has to, you would think that they would get it together, but even now with the Switch, B Shadows was saying that you had to sign up with something, and they take, I think, 30% or something like that. And then they've even shut people's channels down, like Miss K, a YouTuber I highly respect. She is so not a part of any console bullshit. She's just all about playing everything. And they just shut her channel down. They just shut it down. So she just went to
Oh,
vid.
I didn't know that they actually shut her down. I didn't know it
They
was that far.
shut her down. She had to make a whole nother channel, and then she wasn't getting the same views like she
See,
was on her last channel.
you know what this reminds me of? Okay, so people don't really know this about Nintendo, but they try to sue rental stores. So video rental stores that rented out games right around the NES, Super NES era. Around then, they try to sue them, and the biggest one they tried to sue was Blockbuster. Before Blockbuster blew
Mm.
up, I mean, it was getting big, but
I
it
did
wasn't.
not know that.
Yeah, before it got, it's around the NES, Super NES era, and so they kind of sent a lot of cease and desist orders to like little small mom and pop stores, and some abide, some didn't, some just like kind of they stopped getting games from them. They just start buying them from the local stores and stuff like that because then they don't have any say in it. And you know they started doing it with Blockbuster as well. Blockbuster fought them. They won. Blockbuster won, just so you guys know. So the reason why you guys have rentals today, even though Blockbuster doesn't exist, is because of them. But Nintendo was also very, like even after all that, they were very, even after that, they would kind of like, well, if you want us to sell you our stuff, you got to make sure our Nintendo um, kiosks is in the front of the store, right around the N64 era, PlayStation era slash Sega Saturn, stuff like that. They start strong arming, and then again. So this is Nintendo has a history of this, and people just don't realize it, until now, because now they're basically being very much bullheaded with the end user now, right? It's the same sort of tactics and strategies, but it's now being applied to content creators, right? It's not the blockbusters anymore; it's the content creators and things like that. So, you know, those policies have gone. It's just how they view things, even from very early on, late 8-bit, even early 16-bit era. So.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that but that made a lot of sense because I remember I used to go to this mom and pop store called Video Haven, and slowly but surely, Nintendo games weren't out there in abundance like the PlayStation or the Sega, or even it was just PlayStation and Sega.
No, it was just it was around the Sega Nintendo era.
Oh,
So
it was just to say.
it happened very early on. So 8-bit and 16-bit era, right around there. So the
Oh,
beginning.
okay. So it was before the.
Okay.
Okay. Because I'm trying to remember the last time that I started renting games from like Blockbuster and like for Video Haven and places like that was what 1999. That was the last.
Yeah.
That was about the last time. But then I started seeing Nintendo games started like dwindling. So
they start strong arm in the N64 era, right? Because that's was N64, PlayStation 1, and you had the Sega Saturn. In regards to that, and they try to push in strong arm to carry X number of copies more than they were comfortable doing with big rental stores like that, since they kind of lost that lawsuit back in the day. And they also push for key space near the front of the store. And to be in more frontal view versus their competitors and stuff like that. And then they're just like, no, we're going to push back on you on this. You don't tell us how we lay out our store. And so what you saw was a lot less N64 games being purchased. And you start seeing being pushed to the back of the area. I remember particularly at the rental store I was at, they pushed them way in the back. Like,
there weren't that many of them, and then C Triggered, he said a good point. He said Nintendo gambled on the Wii. In exchange for the core gamer, they went after the larger untapped gamer base, which worked out in the short run. But at the end, the older gamers became uninterested, which he's absolutely right. Yeah, and that's the thing that I don't think. A lot of people, like when Crap and Z go at it about like, the longevity of the Switch. I'm kind of in between because what the Switch is doing right now is absolutely amazing. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but
we'll save that for later.
Yeah, we'll save that for later. But it also goes into, look how long is it taking for people to actually really gravitate to the Nintendo again. And so, because they wanted to make that quick hit, they wanted to get that casual gamer, and the casual gamer will only be there, but they're fickle. They go to the next and best thing that's popular that they see on television. So the hardcore, they almost abandoned them, completely, because and that to me is the ultimate fail. I mean, I don't, the mobile games and things like that with Pokemon and stuff like that. That's just money making. I mean, they're smart on that aspect.
Would you say fair? I was assuming both of us have the same con here in regards to Nintendo.
Hmm.
They've got their core fan base.
Right.
I mean, would you say that's a major con? Like, really sums it up.
Yeah, I do.
They just forgot about their major core fan base.
They forgot about them.
That's,
They expected them to always be there, and over time, they what they didn't put in perspective is that the older gamer, well, the gamer like my age that beloved Nintendo, they kind of forgot about us. And they were thinking about the next generation or the generation after that, the younger kids then. But what about me? I was the one that was going to my mom. I was going to my grandparents, and I was telling them, "Hey, can you buy this new system? Can you buy this game system for me?" And I remember my grandfather was like, "Boy, you into these funny these electronic toy boxes? What's wrong with you?" You know what I'm saying? So we were the ones that made Nintendo what they were, and for them to kind of forget that, it's disheartening. It really is. So that's definitely
yeah, I mean, I was
the
a
biggest con for
diehard.
them.
I mean, I liked Nintendo all the way up to the GameCube, as I said before, right?
Hmm.
And after, midway through the GameCube, they kind of just lost me as a customer because they didn't have that support. They had better support than they have had in the past, but because of that little mini disc, they kind of screwed up again, right?
Hmm.
And then once the Wii happened, and I bought a Wii, and then I'm like, well, this is not what I thought they would be doing with this thing.
Hmm.
And I remember, I think before Christmas when it came out, and then right around the New Year, I was like, I haven't even touched this thing because I bought an Xbox as well. I was going to have multiple consoles in my home at the time,
Hmm.
and so I took it back to a place to get a trading credit for my Wii than when I originally paid for it. I said, sign me up. It was like $10-$20 more than what I originally paid for because it was
Oh
such
wow.
because it was that spike of the high demand they were still
Hmm.
having on it.
Hmm.
And so boom, put it out there, and then then I just rolled that into more 360 games at the time. But yeah, I think that's the last time I've really ever owned a Nintendo console, unfortunately. So
Yeah, the Wii is in an attic. I bought it for my daughter. That was it. So.
yeah,
Yeah, but okay. So all right, Nintendo, get your policies right. Stop being so damn greedy. You know, we're moving on to PlayStation. The cons for PlayStation. Ooh, I'm gonna let you go first on this one. Um,
okay. So for
yeah.
me, it's always been the controller. The battery life is
Yeah.
not correct. It's the triggers are fragile.
Hmm.
I felt bad because I've had to buy two PlayStation controllers, and I don't even own a PlayStation because every time I go to my friend's house, the right trigger breaks. It just does, and he has the same problem to do. So it's not just me. So, and that's sad when you go over to a friend's house and you have that problem. Battery life is not good, and then the analog stick stuff is not it's not the right placement.
No.
At the end of the day, every other one of their competitors has done the analog sticks in a staggered formation. You take the Dreamcast, for example, N60, even the N64, even though it only had one analog stick, the analog stick was still directly above the thumb, not over to the side on the left-hand side, right?
Hmm.
So even controllers like that had the analog stick placement just better than the PlayStation, and so that's a big one. There's a durability issue with the rubber knobs on top of the analog sticks. Those keep coming off. They really haven't, as far as I've seen, they haven't addressed it. If they have, great. But as far as I know, they haven't addressed that for the average user. So that's a big one. That's the very first thing you touch before you even boot up a game is the controller, right?
Hmm.
I had the same. I have different set of issues with the Xbox controller. I have a set of issues with the PlayStation controller. The really when it comes right down to the it's not there. It's not up to snuff to where we should be at right now
Hmm.
for them. The reliability on the being able to put your card on there and stuff like that. Having a customer first sort of mentality when it comes to taking care of if there is security issues. makes me personally as an end user not confident to be able to the majority of my multiplats on that platform if I had it in my house, right? It just doesn't make me confident in doing that. It's an inconvenience at the end of the day. And then you also have the fact that the online's always down for maintenance. It's a much slower network, regardless of where Xbot's located. It's really a location thing. In regards to the main server base, Sony has less of them at the end of the day. And so the end result is the average user will end up having a slower download speed, both on games and also not as reliable of a connection. And then how they kind of handled the Pro. The Pro was, you and I differ on the Pro. I think the Pro is actually the better system long term. Not
say
now,
that again,
but long term.
Did you?
It's going to be the better system long term, not now.
Okay, keep going.
That's the system you're going to get to true HDR. The only way to get HDR is to get the Pro, right? I'm also not a fan of how they misrepresented HDR on their base level consoles. I'm not a fan of that at all.
Right.
And I'm not a fan of development tools in regards to the Pro. As it stands right now, that's always something that's constantly changing, and I hope they continue to change it. I hope that improves by this next holiday season, so the Pro can actually be a better product, right?
Right.
It just hasn't matured yet. I guess is the best way to describe it. And so not having, just like I knocked on Microsoft for not having certain things ready for launch, I gotta be equally critical of PlayStation not having their development tools up to par for the launch of the Pro.
I agree.
At the end of the day, so it's only fair either way. So those are my major cons. It's right, going through additional hoops to use their network because you don't trust it. The reliability on the controller thing, it is the most reliable controller out of all of them, I feel. And you're paying for a service that's constantly down, and your information is not protected, and they release a system with the games that are not running how they should be, given the hardware has.
Okay. All right. I agree, of course. Except for the part about the Pro being the better system. Look, I got the Slim. The Slim performs better. I got a disc drive. You know what I'm saying? I can watch movies on it. It's you know what I'm saying? The Pro is superior when it comes, I guess, to, graphics at the long run. But for right now, if anybody would ask me if what PlayStation to get, I would tell them to get the vanilla or get the Slim. I wouldn't tell them to get the Pro.
You're not wrong in that answer, right?
Right.
Because as of right now, they perform better than the Pro, right? Mm-hmm. So the question is, do you invest in the now or do you invest in the future? I'm always.
Well, since there's going to be a new Pro coming out they're going to announce that at E3. They're going to have a better version. I would wait till then, and then it's going to be cheaper.
Do you think it actually has different hardware and not just a different drive?
I think that they have to they got to make the corrections of what they messed up on at launch. This boost stuff has been exposed. We'll
definitely talk about that later if you want. But we can talk about those predictions at another time.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Okay, but all right. Are you done, or you got some more cons?
No, I think that's it. I mean, those are the big ones for me. Everyone's going to have different cons on all these systems. You're going to have different cons. We're all going to have different pros, things we different like. I mean, that's the reason why we.
Right. So yeah, and already 43 minutes in, that's kind of like what happened last night. Like we just couldn't finish it, but we're going to finish it tonight. My cons. You can't change your PSN after all these years. You can't change your PSN account. That's long overdue. The controller, like you were saying, I go over to the homeboy's house and like they still got them raggedy ass controllers, and they'll cut your thumbs, man. They'll cut your thumbs. I'm just kind of like, what bruh, buy you a
But
new
when the
controller.
grip comes off and the bare plastic underneath, is that where you're having problems?
Yeah, when the thumb part
Yeah.
and it's rigid because you know what I'm saying there's other people that's been playing the game as well, and a lot of places, you know, we talked about that today, that a lot of PlayStation guys just don't like to, you know, they like to do the split screen thing. They like to have people come over and play games with them. They're not so much keen on playing online as much as Xbox and PC gamers are.
I'm not that guy. You don't share my couch. You don't share my television.
Oh, you don't? Oh man, I'm still.
I'll buy another console and have you sit in the other room
Ah,
with a different TV before I share a couch.
that's hilarious. Because you know what? Because I was so diehard Sony back then. I understand that because I didn't really get into the online thing until Call of Duty, until Modern Warfare 2 came out. That's when I actually really started getting into online gaming. And you know, everything else was split screen, sitting at the house. We play fighting games, we play racers, we even play shooters, but we all did it split screen. We played Halo, all of that. I was so old school like that, and you know, and once I started understanding it, I'm like, oh, well, I got a full screen. I don't have to worry about 4 boxes or, you know, giving up half of my TV. So yeah, I don't even know if I could go back, but.
My biggest thing is when they give up the performance. Remember when you did like GoldenEye?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Screen,
Yeah.
and it would just get all jittery, and then like basically start dropping frames like crazy. But you had no other way to play, so you just kind of like dealt with it, right?
Yeah.
But going back, man, that's a hard one for me.
Oh yeah, I loved it. It. You know, but now I know better. Let's see. PSN. PSN. When it's working good, it works great. When it's not, it's a hot mess. I mean, why would you want to pay for a service when the service hasn't changed since the PlayStation 3? That to me is again, you're ripping your customers off. Delays. Xbox said something last night that I didn't even know, and it would make perfect sense. He said 90% of all the games that came out on the PlayStation 4 were delayed. And if you think about it, while everybody's touting about PlayStation got the games, and I asked this question as well, I'm going to ask you this. How many games on the PlayStation 4 are not delays? Can you give me an answer, roughly?
I think if we're talking about exclusives, right?
Yeah, we're talking about exclusives. Like how many PlayStation 4 games that hasn't been delayed that came out? Yeah, that were actually launched that came at launch.
All the launch games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you gotta like look at knack, and you know, regardless of what you like of the titles or not.
No, I'm talking about for this year. I'm talking about for this year.
Oh, for this year?
Yeah, this year.
I don't. Well, here's the problem. Also, too, we don't know like some of the stuff it's being announced like from E3 to now, right? Like you don't know if even some of those have been delayed because they haven't really given release dates.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to that, most of the time those. I mean that's a fair criticism, though. I mean, you know, there's a con to that, and we'll get to, I'm sure to that later. But a pro, but the con is, yeah, they really haven't released anything on time. Even their third party Japanese developers haven't really released anything on time. The ones people are touting right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff has been delayed, even if Sony's not directly involved. So, yeah, I mean, releasing games on time, I mean, that's meeting customers' expectations, and if that frustrates you, that's understandable.
No, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you're telling me that you're basically telling me that you delayed a lot of these games in order to compete with the Scorpio, because of course these people are in the know. They know that these things are coming down the line. So when 2015 was around, they went and lied and told their fan base that, you know, indies were the thing. That this is what is the driving force of what gamers should be looking forward to is indie games. And then now it's a totally different story. That's another thing. The flip flop. The flip flop narrative is another major con because it was all about power in the beginning of this generation. Now it's all about the games. But these games have been delayed because you lied and told everybody that these games were about, that it was about indies at first, and then now it's about, it's about just having a whole abundance of games for the year. Just a bunch of bullshit. Pisses me off. Really pisses me off.
So you would say transparency with their consumer base is an issue.
Oh yeah. The customer service.
To sum it up, is the expectation of the consumer base is not being met.
No.
The game releases. So.
No, PlayStation has always been faulty with the customer, but it more so now because of the fact that they're not as financially sound as they used to be, and one of the major things right now to me, I think probably the number one thing with PlayStation, the biggest con for me is like the situation with No Man's Sky. They lied to the customer and told everyone that this was going to be the new revolution. This whole thing about No Man's Sky was going to revolutionize what gaming is going to look like going forward. And then the game became a complete fail. Yoshida jumps off the ship quick as hell, leaves the developer out there in the cold. And then this dude is over here going crazy and psychotic because he don't know what to do. He knew what his game was from the get.
So they both have they're both responsible for that whole kind of how all that went down, right? The developer and the Sony marketing behind it. Mm-hmm. But this that experience, honestly, for me, it's different if I work under a studio or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a project I'm doing right now, that scares me to market with them, if that makes any sense, right? Because and this is a con for me because I look at them and just like, well, doesn't mean I wouldn't release on their platform. Those are two different things, right? But I don't really feel comfortable them speaking for my game. I want to be able to control that message and meet the expectation of the customer in regards to that versus just kind of puffing themselves up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And going from there. So, doesn't mean I wouldn't release on their platform, but it doesn't bode well for those relationships. If I did make the next hottest thing, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I will or anything like that, but let's say I did make the next hottest thing. I don't want a partnership with them.
Right.
Hardware, but I don't think I would want a marketing deal with them if I was independent. I think if I was a bigger studio, I would feel more comfortable because you have the weight of the bigger publisher, kind of control the narrative a little bit better. You also have them be able to way more talent at it. So wherever my shortcomings are, other people will come into place to help each other out and vice versa. And you have a better product that you can stand behind on that sort of thing. So it is a major con for me how that whole situation was handled for sure.
Mm. Yeah, that just the lies. I mean, they've got caught in so many lies, like Mark Cerny going up there talking about the 8.4 teraflops, knowing that that's nowhere feasible. And then on the other hand, just keeping it quiet. Like, I mean, they just get the broom and sweep it under the rug, and then nobody holds them to the fire. Just like with The Last Guardian. Like, I mean, I am a fan of Inko and Shadow of the Colossus. I'm a fan, but you come out with this game that's been supposedly in 10 years of development, and this is all you can offer. A game that's only like what I think it's like 5 to 7 gigs. You know what I'm saying? And I know that I've had this argument with a lot of people that was like, well, that's the same as like Red Dead Redemption. Yeah, but the thing of it is that you would think if this game was going to be graphically stable and it is going to look magnificent, that this game was going to be another 30 gig, 40 gig game. And to me, they just used PlayStation 3 hardware and just implemented it into the 4 and just upscaled it. That was it. And and just half-assed on the story. And for everybody that was all excited about that game, they don't talk about it no more. It's kind of like we sweeping it under the rug. Everybody sweeps PlayStation shit under the rug. That pisses me off. People still talk about 2013. Hell, we still talk about 2013 with Xbox. I would like to hear true gamers still talk about what PlayStation's faults are, but nobody really wants to address that. That's another con. That's like the media. Nobody wants to talk about the issues that PlayStation has. Everybody wants to make it out like the PlayStation is so perfect, and it's not. Another thing that I have a con with is that old ass UI. That interface has been there since what, the PlayStation 2? It's old as dirt, and that shit needs to be revamped. Yeah, it's very quick. It's you know, it's fast.
It doesn't bug me, but
it's
but it's definitely not a pro, right?
Yeah,
you know, for sure. In regards, it's not enough for me to call it a con, but you know, as I said, like these are individual lists, so everyone's
right. Yeah, I'm entitled to it. Yeah,
but yeah, that surprises me that when people complain about that, people care more about that stuff than people think.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, so that's interesting.
Yeah, and so that's all I can think of right now. I'm pretty sure I'll throw something in here later, but but that's what I could. That's all I could throw in right now. You know, the battery life of the controller. You know, that's horrendous.
I think you duplicated everything I said about the controller.
Yeah.
I don't think you disagree with me anything on that one. So
nothing. Nothing. You know, and like I was just saying with the interface, like I'm going through the PlayStation Store, and it's hard to find certain things. Like they hide their deals. Like there's certain deals, like, you know, when you go deeper into, you know, you're paying for PSN, right? And like you try to go to those PSN deals, they'll have one section of the PSN deal, but then you got to go searching deep for those other deals. Like that's how I found The Last of Us, and then I found like Drive Club for like, I think it was like $4, and then like The Last of Us was like $7.99, something like that. Those, you know, you should want to just throw that out there and say, hey, look, man, we got these great quality games. Here you go. But they hide them in the damn locker room or some shit, and you got to go really searching for them. That's why I got a problem with that interface. But okay, let's talk about the pros. I mean, we've been negative enough. Let's start off with this. We just talked about PlayStation. Let's talk about the pros for the PlayStation to show that I am not a damn hater of the PlayStation. Of the PlayStation franchise.
You have to bonds of that. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
You know, the earlier development tools were spot on. I think they were really good. I think that's a lot of times what you saw, good performance right out of the gate. I think that was a huge pro from a third-party perspective, because people buy it for those third-party games as well, right? So they did extremely well at that. Even though you criticized the UI, at least it worked at launch, right?
Oh yeah.
It better work at launch, given that it hasn't changed, but still, it worked at launch, and it met the expectation of the consumer. So I think that was a big thing. You know, the right at the beginning, even though there's a lot of controversy what systems had DRM and what solutions to DRM. I mean, Sony's been working on DRM since the original PlayStation 3. There's actually implementations in the PlayStation 3 to do DRM. There have been patents that they never utilized. So to give you an idea, so they've been working on DRM for a while. But at the end of the day, they didn't stumble out of the block and say that, you know, they're going crazy with DRM or, you know, get criticized along those lines. So what they did is basically they were clear on their messaging. They were unified on what they're going to do. And I really felt like they've executed really well. And I think that bodes well with the customers. And I think that's, you know, really the biggest pro PlayStation's got going for it. I mean, that would be the big one. It's really like they made the system easy to develop for right out the gate.
Mm.
Things were just kind of just ready to go. And when you're waiting for 10 years for a new, or 7 years for a new piece of hardware, right?
Mm.
That's a big thing. That's meeting the customer's expectations, and that cannot be understated in any sort of way. And customers, as in the people that end up buying the software and the hardware, but also the customers that end up using the hardware to develop on. I mean, they're a customer as well. So I really feel like they just kind of nailed that out of the gate, and I have to give them credit where credit's due in regards to that. I also like the fact, even though you don't like the Pro, I like the fact at least they're addressing it. They made at least the attempt, even though the attempt is not going to. I don't think it's going to be as. I think is Scorpio. Let's call it that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They still addressed their diehards by trying to provide a system that does more, right? It needs some irons to work out, but the fact that they've at least tried it and not just ignore that demands of that audience, and keeping that audience engaged after 3 years, because usually that's when people lose interest in your platform or look at other platforms. I have to give it to them on that front, and those are the big ones for me. Their exclusives never really resonated with me, except for like God of War, and that hasn't really come out yet,
Right.
and things like that. So, I mean, I definitely have pros, but I don't have the same pros I think diehard PlayStation gamers have with the hardware, I would say.
Right. Right. I'm going to say two more cons, and then I'm going to get to the pros of the
You
PlayStation.
know, Xbox on me?
Yeah, I am. I am, because I just thought about it. Long because I was we talked about this on the next podcast earlier. Their games not having enough longevity. A lot of their games are one hitter quitters. You might want to go back and play them again, but 9 times out of 10, gamers, once they beat the game, they're done with it. And a lot of these games don't have enough DLC, and they don't seem to put a big interest on a lot of their first party titles. That's why I was surprised about Uncharted, and also I think Neo is going to have some DLC as well.
Okay.
But yeah, that's
But on
what.
that same note,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you the contradictory because you gave me another pro. They're
Mm-hmm.
committed to story-based games. I would say
Yes.
they have a greater commitment to that, and I like that. Even though they don't have the games that I personally like,
Mm-hmm.
I do like the aspect about their games. Um, I have never liked a single Uncharted, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
can't say those are not heavily story-based games, and you can't say they're not heavily loved, right? In regards to that, and that commitment to that, and that making sure that doesn't fall to a lost art to multiplayer. Part of just a little sweet spot for them for doing that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So now, well, I had another one and then it left me. It'll come back to me. But let's talk about the pros for PlayStation marketing. That was damn. Woo. PlayStation's marketing is absolutely amazing. They've always had great marketing right off the bat. They have even from the PS1. You watch their commercials. They're hard hitting. They gravitate to you. And now even now when I'm looking at their commercials and I see they'll show Spider-Man, they'll show some person walking into a room talking to some old guy, and then he opens a door and in this world of of PlayStation games, it pulls you in and like, oh my goodness, I got to give me a PlayStation.
Well, even the PlayStation 3. Remember that one dude? They kind of said it was the CEO of PlayStation, and he would always like jokes. What was that guy?
I forgot that guy. Yeah, but he was great. Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, the older guy, with the kind of blondish hair. Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was. Yeah, the commercials has always been great. They know how to market. They're superior in that category. You would think that Microsoft would get on the high horse and start trying to find some of those people that are not around anymore, that's not around PlayStation anymore, and try to hire those people, because PlayStation knows how to market. I mean, just look at what they're doing with these third party deals. It's insane. It's insane. They'll have Destiny. They'll have Call of Duty. They'll have I'm trying to think what else they'll have. They'll have every goddamn thing. You know what I'm saying? They just have everything. And then on top of that, with their exclusives this year, wow. I mean, it's very promising for them to have a very successful year. So yeah, that's big kudos to PlayStation on that front. Another thing is that I give props for PlayStation is their dedication of of giving you games that you may not want on the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3, but you might want them on the PlayStation 4. They have always been committed. I mean, let's say you
would also say when they do it, start a project to finish a project too.
Exactly. Like
you do have to give them credit there.
Yeah, and I give them a lot of credit too of being patient, because that's another reason why these Japanese developers love being with PlayStation, is because they because Sony's going to give them time. You know what I'm saying? Sony is going to let them take as much time as they want in order for them to bring out the game that they want to bring out. Case in point, look at Persona, right? Persona, go back to the STM, I think that's what it was before. I couldn't dare tell you what it was called. Like it was some crazy ass Japanese name. But the series has been out since 1996. 21 years. The game is a cult classic, and they're still bringing out these games. That's why it's called Persona now. And they're still making these games, and now they're getting critical acclaim, like crazy critical acclaim. There's people even thinking that this game is going to be Game of the Year. It's going to be a nominee. And so,
are you talking about Persona?
Yeah, I'm talking about Persona. Yeah,
I don't get that game.
No, I mean I played Persona.
That's not for everybody. But
no, it's a
that style game. It's good though, right?
It's a cult classic game, and Persona fans jumped all over me because I just told the truth. That game is not for everybody, and it shouldn't even be compared to the Final Fantasy series, because Final Fantasy has been out and they gravitate and they bring casuals. Persona's not going to bring casuals.
I gotta ask you a question.
Yeah.
When did a cult classic end up being a bad thing?
It's not. It's not.
It's not. That's the thing. It's not a lot of people know about it, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's a good product.
Right. Right.
That's how it's addressed with movies, right?
Yeah.
People that watch it or love that style movie love it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's considered a cult classic, right? But not a lot of people know about it, and that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's really not. So why are people getting triggered over something like that? Even if someone called my title a cult classic when I released it,
Mm-hmm.
I would be ecstatic.
Yeah, because
be absolutely ecstatic.
you'll have a loyal base that you'll never lose. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Okay. It raised. Look, this is the thing that people don't understand. See, let's just break this down. I mean, I'm going to still keep on the positives, but I just want to make this clear to the Persona fans out there. Listen, Persona 5 sold 1.5 million. That's the best I think it's ever done. This series has been out since 1996. This series is also on old hardware. It's on the PlayStation 3 and it's on the PlayStation 4. So you got basically around 150 million gamers on the PlayStation, and you only generate 1.5. That is not considered success. That's considered niche. That's considered cult classic. That's just the facts.
Well, success is determined by how much money you spent to produce the product.
Oh, they didn't spend that much money on it, from my understanding.
Yeah, and how much you profit. So covering your basically your production costs, and making a profit. So, success is more determined by that, right?
Yeah.
Being selling a good number, that is not a bad number to sell.
Mm-hmm.
In relationship to, say, the grand audience. That's niche. That's a small amount in regards, and that's not bad. Niche is not bad. Niche are not bad words. in regards to that. No one should ever
No.
get offended if your game is considered niche or the game you like is considered niche or cult classic. These are just, just they are what they are, and these are all good things. You know what I mean?
Exactly. If somebody said that Quantum Break was niche, I'm like, okay. Or if it's called a cult classic, great, because I'm waiting for Quantum Break 2. You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking Persona. I'm just knocking. It's not a bad word.
Because they did, because they did something different than no one else did. Right? They really kind of did their own category of mixing live action and how they actually did the.
Oh, here comes All Day. Here comes that secret pony. All Day Digital. He's always like 1.5 is good for a JRPG. Okay. Let me just say this right here to you, bruh. 1.5 is good. It's good. Atlas made their money back, and probably then some. Like crazy amount of money back. But when you want to talk about the king of JRPGs, Persona did 1.5 in like almost a year, while Final Fantasy 15 did 5 million in one day. We're talking about Final Fantasy 15 is close to 10 million overall sales. And I don't know, you know what I'm saying? When you want to talk about the king of JRPGs, the best JRPG, numbers do talk when you want to bring those things up. So I just, you know what I'm saying? Even if you just wanted to say, and so like if you wanted to say, have your argument and say that, well, that's a multiplat. That was on all consoles. On the PlayStation 4, it outsold everything. It outsold the Xbox, I think, what was it, 3-1? So you know what I'm saying? No, Final Fantasy is the king of JRPGs. That's just a fact. It's the daddy of them all. Persona is a great RPG, JRPG, but it's not. It doesn't hold a candle to what Final Fantasy does. That's just a fact.
That's the difference between mainstream and niche, right? I mean, mainstream, it's not a bad thing. Niche is not a bad thing. It's just categorizing things properly and understanding how well they do in those particular categories. 1.5 million for a niche RPG, turn-based RPG, right? And 1.5 million for not only a turn-based RPG, but something that doesn't really relate to a lot of gamers here in the U.S. or just in the West in general, right? That's really good.
Yeah,
that's not a bad thing. Like, people need to understand that's okay, and there's nothing wrong with you liking it more than Final Fantasy.
No,
but it's not mainstream, and just because something's mainstream doesn't mean it's better, right? It's like those people that like want to find those bands that no one heard of, and then they feel like they sold out because it become mainstream. Like just stop there. I mean, things are niche. They can be good niche, and there can be bad. They can be good mainstream. They can coincide with one another. But they shouldn't be compared to one another. That's for sure.
Right? No, they shouldn't be. And I hate that journalism. There was journalists that actually used that as a staple because they liked Persona better than Final Fantasy. That look, to each their own. But the numbers don't lie. When you want to talk about Persona, which is a good RPG, I love the old turn-based system. I was kind of skeptical about the Final Fantasy because they were trying to make it more modern and make it more suitable for casuals. But these are the facts. You put Persona in front of a whole bunch of casuals, they're not going to touch it. Final Fantasy crossed over, and that should tell you right there that that's the better franchise. That's because they can cross over. They can gravitate people like, saying next gen don't really play JRPGs, but he bought and he enjoyed the shit out. I was listening to him play too. He's like, oh shit, I cut these motherfuckers. I ain't gotta wait. And I was like, yeah, man. And he was it was me and All Day that was in there listening to him, and he was playing the shit out. He played it for like 4 or 5 hours. So that's the thing. Like if you gravitate to people that don't even like that type of genre, then you succeed. And that's why I never ever believe that Persona overtook Final Fantasy. That is just not even, I can't comprehend that. So anyway, back to my positives, because my positives with PlayStation, their game lineup, their studios are top notch. Naughty Dog is beast. Santa Monica, I love. Oh my God, God of War is in my top three of favorite franchises of all time. You know, I'm a little bit leery of this new God of War. But I got to give God of War its props for right now because I don't know what this God of War is going to be. But they just have mad studios. I'm playing Neo. There was the whole reason Neo, Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona. I am going to get Persona, but I'm not going to spend the $60. I'm going to wait till it goes cheap. I'm still going to get it though. I finally got The Last of Us. It's a good game for what I played. Some people will shoot me and say that it's the best game ever, but for what I played, it's good. And just countless others. Heavy Rain. I like Heavy Rain. There's a countless other games that PlayStation has been making, and their studios department has just been flawless. Man, they do great work, and I'm actually happy that they gave the green light to Guerrilla Games to do something different than Killzone, because Killzone was supposed to be kind of like the Halo or Halo killer. Ain't nothing gonna kill Halo. Halo is in the Rushmore. So it's glad that they did Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn's a dope ass game. That right there it says a lot about the dedication of what Sony is doing with their games. They're in it for the long haul, and you gotta take your hat off for them. You know what I'm saying? They do a miraculous job with that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So and then there's just like their exclusives. Like, some people might not like Yakuza. Some people might not like The Last Guardian. But there's a fan base for those games. It is kind of bad that Xbox doesn't have Kingdom Hearts, even though Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be a multi-plat. It would be stupid to have and I don't know whose fault that could be. Maybe you can address that, but I don't know whose fault that could be. If there's going to be Kingdom Hearts 3 that's going to come out to the Xbox, then you would think that they would get the rights to play the younger titles, the previous titles, instead of them all just going exclusive to the PlayStation. I don't know. Could you address that, Don?
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. Basically, like Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be a multi-plat. It's coming to Xbox. It's coming to the PlayStation. But the Kingdom Hearts 1.5, the remix, and all that, they already have those games already out. Why is it that those games aren't already on the Xbox? Because Xbox is going to get 3.
I do believe one of them's a little bit tricky with Kingdom Hearts, because I believe Sony was invested around the same time in why am I drawing the blank on the studio? On Square Enix. They own part of Square Enix at the time, I think, around one of the publishing of one of those titles. And so since they're pretty much kind of a publishing deal on that, I think they have a little bit more say in the workings of one of the earlier ones. I don't know if it was the first one or the second one or something along those lines. But I think that's the reason why there's a little bit more complication. Also, they have a bigger following on Sony, so you can strong arm those relationships to get them released on your hardware first. So, you still there? Left me hanging alone. Well, guys, I guess we're gonna maybe switch to pros of one of the other pieces of hardware, because we started with the pros on the Sony side of things. Here, can't make it coming out of the bathroom, so just ignore that for now. But on the Microsoft pros, I'm going to say, I'm a big fan of their controller. The controller is laid out much better. I trust my information on their online business. I think most users do, in regards to their system's not down as much.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to that. And that's more or less kind of my take on that. Also, their development tools are getting a lot better now, so it's not a before thing, but a now thing. It's definitely getting a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
They have more exclusives that I personally prefer. In regards to them, that's obviously subjective, that sort of thing. And I'm just kind of stalling, waiting for K Mega, or as Buffalo Bill calls him, L Mega, to come back.
Oh, I'm back. Oh, okay. My bad, man. I had to use the bathroom, man. I was like, "Ooh, I got to run."
They all heard it.
Did they hear me? I had to get to moving, bro. I had to get to moving. I wanted to, I was like, oh shit, I ain't gonna get to hear what he got to say, but, woo, man, with a 2-man team, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Oh snap! I was like, he's not even talking about the game. He ain't even talking about it. I thought you was gonna get long winded.
No, I had to move on to something else. I'm like,
oh my goodness, that's funny. I hear Fonz is over here saying, "Make a run into that mic." Yeah, man, I had to hurry up and get back. I was like, God dang, man, I had to let loose, man. I was holding on to that for a minute, but anyway, that's great. That's classic. But then, okay, another positive for PlayStation for me is is just their fans. They're fans. The PlayStation fans stick together. They will lie with PlayStation. They will die for PlayStation. I listen to these guys talk about power in different sites on Twitter, Facebook, to Reddit, everywhere. And then I see them jump ship just as quick as Sony does. I mean, I kind of think that, like, PlayStation, because of its popularity, has outshined Nintendo when it comes to their fan base, because of the fact that these guys are so devoted. These men and women are so devoted to PlayStation. So kudos to you guys. Nothing wrong with being a PlayStation fan. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that, I think the biggest factor is that these people don't relinquish. They stay strong, they stay firm. And
that's also the biggest con, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not critical.
Yeah.
From the heart, being critical about something that they may like or dislike, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the repercussion is they could have a better product.
Exactly. You would think that they would have the torches and pitchforks about just, what I'm saying, about a lot of things. Like, the PlayStation Pro to me, it should have been the line in the sand that they were just habitual line steppers. Those guys just didn't give a damn. They just would just continue to lie to you. But you would think that the PlayStation Pro would bend that standard, or No Man's Sky, and that refund policy that they had, because that to me was one of those things that was kind of like, what, you guys are not talking about this like that, but kudos to the PlayStation fan. You know what I'm saying? You guys, you're the reasons why PlayStation is number one and is selling at a higher rate. Almost, I don't think it will surpass the PlayStation 2, but I think it will be damn close. I think that it'll get close enough. But I think the PlayStation 2 is just at a standard that I don't think any console will ever catch up to. So, kudos to you guys.
2 was, I think, their best hardware ever, right?
Right, yeah. I was a PlayStation fanboy to the heart back then. Like, you couldn't tell me shit about PlayStation. You couldn't tell me nothing about PlayStation.
They had support like no other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had exclusive third-party deals they didn't have to pay for, right? Like, they just had them because that's the platform they wanted to release on. You can't complain about those things, you know what I mean? So okay. So now I gave my props to PlayStation. I feel like I need to take a shower now, but no, I'm just playing. Now we talk about the Xbox, the positive stuff about Xbox. I'm going to let you go. I tried to talk a little bit about it, but I was stalling. It was a little bit. It was the deer in the headlights.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I was trying to hold on to it, and then I was going to say, hey, man, you need to go ahead, and I was going to take another topic and let you roll with it, because I was going to say I need to take a little break. I could hold it.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I mean, really what it comes down to, it's the interface of the controller.
Yeah.
That layout of the controller is unparalleled, and not just for shooters, but really just I feel for like any type of game out there.
Mm-hmm.
They really address the things like the D-pad, things like that. I love the fact that even though it's kind of a 180, is they're listening to their fan base. It's setting a good example for not only for people to buy their hardware, but it's also setting a really good example for developers, right? To maybe you should instead of treating your fan base like like an enemy, treat them as your friend, right? And hear what they're really passionate about, and they spend their hard good dollars. I think there was always this fear beforehand of doing that, and now that Microsoft has kind of able to turn things around for themselves by doing that, it has set a good example for the gaming community. So I like the example they set. Even like the executives, they're not as cutthroat as the Sony executives and how they speech or they talk or address people. And honestly, it makes places like Xbox Live a better place to game with other people, right? You set the example and other people follow. And I really like that about Xbox and what they're doing. They've been able to deliver more exclusives, more quality exclusives that I care about. And this is where it becomes subjective, right?
Mm-hmm.
On time. Yes, they have a couple stains on it, with the whole closing down Lionhead, and then they also have the things with in regards to Scalebound, right? But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, they're still releasing games. It's not like they're not releasing games; they're always releasing games. So I've been a huge fan of essentially and that's a big thing. Also, they've been treating customers along the lines of steering them towards digital, but not forcing them to buy digital. Um, that's another huge thing because that helps out the gaming industry as an absolute whole. More people to buy digital, the cheaper your games you're going to get quicker, get their get their cut right, and it starts following the Steam model a little bit, and things get cheaper sooner, and you guys get new games that you own, and that's a huge thing, and I'm a big fan of the directions where Xbox has gone with that. You can add Game Pass to it. You can add Xbox Live has been a much more stable service. I'm able to get on and play my games online more. In regards that they also make sure there's more value in their games, not just kind of hit the story and quit it. They usually have some online features, things like that. And they continue to listen to the customers, and that's really the byproduct of Scorpio. Both customers and the developers, and they also listen to the developers a lot too. They had a long way to go on their dev kits, but their dev kits right now are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Really, all the issues of the past are really issues of the past. They're not issues that we're going to run into going forward. So
Nice. Well, for me, wow. What Xbox has done with their UI is been amazing. Like I don't know how many people are you with the previews program, Don?
I don't mess with the preview program anymore. I used to in the past,
Okay,
but
go ahead.
I'm seeing what the fruits of that now. Like it works really well right now, right? It's sharp and it's clean and it
Yeah.
snaps together. Like it's really the interface we all kind of wish we had at launch, right? Um, so I mean, I can't say that's a pro because they started off on the wrong foot. If you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean.
Right.
But as they add to it, right? Like the base is there that they all they have to do is really add to it, and then I think they really got a winner as far as that goes, and they can start pulling ahead of their competition in that space. But I don't really think they're really there yet, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Where
Well,
they can really kind of brag, if you know what I mean.
well, no, I think they can now. I really do. I'm just gonna because today I just discovered some things that and that was something that I forgot to bring for as a positive for the PlayStation was the customization of that interface. Like you can put your picture on there. You have a dope ass background. Like for my PlayStation, I got this really cool black background of the sun. I call it. I send motherfucking PlayStation 4 gamers to Hades. But it's really cool. It's like the sun, and it's like going into look like a black hole. It's really dope looking. But that was but now Xbox is now implemented that. I mean, I and another cool thing is that you can customize the party chat. I did that this morning. I was talking to a couple of people, and they and then I was like, "What is this?" And so I flipped it on. And just like you looking on the GRG podcast, for the people that's listening or watching right now, you'll see like our name up there with our whoever's talking. You could see they changed that now, and you can move that overlay anywhere. You can change the overlay to.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm like, that is dope as shit.
Yeah, well,
it's just their name. Yeah. So when somebody's going to sleep, you know who it is, and you can go into the party and cut their ass off or send them off, or just those small little things is what's needed, and Xbox is always done really well when it came to just changing their interface. Like they keep it fresh and new. I was complaining at one time because this generation they've done it a lot. But if they can just keep this interface, and then if this can move over to the Scorpio, I will be highly pleased, because they added the customization to where you can change and put your actual picture of whatever your customized picture on there. For the first time, that's awesome. So that's a big part of the
picture thing is
the pros for me.
Because I've done some stuff for some people in the community, obviously not nearly as much as Jay Williams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all the hard work he puts in, but it was weird just to go into you go through your friends list, the next thing you know, I'm like, whoa, that's the logo I just did, right? Just populate, just there. And that was super impressive to me that you had that. I had Bam Bam's logo, and I think his logos popped up on there, and I thought that was great, and it scaled perfectly.
Yeah,
did a really good job.
Yeah, I seen 100 Xbot, and a couple other people put up their logos, their actual logos, and it looks good. It's 1080p. It looks really good. So I'm gonna customize mine, but I kind of like mine. I like mine with being I'm sitting on the throne with the big dog on the side. You know what I'm saying? I like that one, so I might keep it for a while. I don't know, but more positive things for the Xbox. The online is not a question. Xbox Online, the dedicated servers, especially when their games is on a dedicated server, it's actually sad that games like NBA 2K, even though Madden has improved drastically with their online, but if it was under Xbox dedicated servers, I mean, flawless. Xbox Live rarely goes down. If they do have any type of issue, it's mainly with apps. It's not so much with the online. The party chat can get a little kooky, but when they want to play a game online, you will play a game online. They actually they make sure that you have to do that. It has to be something from Lizard Squad or some crazy shit like that to actually get to to mess up the online experience. Xbox is superior in that in every way. Let's go. What else? Their new policy. Their new policy where it's kind of like Steam, where you go ahead and you talk about
refund?
Yeah, where you get your refund. That's about customer service. That's what I'm all about, is customer service. That's exactly where it's at. You know what I'm saying? If I just bought Voodoo Vince, And if I played Voodoo Vince for a little bit. It's a game that I've never played Voodoo Vince before. It's a cute little game. It's something that I'll play, but it'll probably be mostly on my back burner. But it was only $15. But if I really hated Voodoo Vince, I could call Microsoft at any time, unlike with PlayStation, because they only work from 9 to 5. I can call Microsoft anytime, and I can go ahead and I can get my refund back. You know what I'm saying?
No. You don't have to call them.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay.
As far as I understand, it's called self refund. So it's through the actual the UI somehow. I haven't played around with it or anything like that. Because they do offer refunds on things if things don't work. Because I had this issue with what was the Titanfall 1. The game would freeze up no matter what I did. It was a digital copy that I bought. When you would do like their faux campaign mode, right? It would get to when it has to load a particular map. It just wouldn't load the map. The thing would crash. It would never load up. And then I had to reboot the game and then play through the section again and then get to that one area and then it would crash again. And it was an issue for about 3 months. In regards to that, and they didn't even fix it within that 3 months after it released. And so I called the Xbox and they say, you know what, we're just going to give you the refund for the troubles. Go ahead and keep the game.
Oh wow!
So I mean, it has to go for your account history, right? And that's the same
right.
thing with this.
Well, it's the policy. The 4-hour thing. Well, it's 2 hours. It's 2 hours for Xbox. For Steam, I think it's 4 hours. And then, but still, just for like, if when you buy a game, that gives you more opportunity to go ahead and take a chance on a game that looks interesting. Like, let's say Power Rangers. You know what I'm saying? That's what kept me from buying Power Rangers, because I was like, I want to buy this game, but I'm not paying $20 for this game, and this shit is garbage. This right here just changes the whole aspect of customer service with me, especially with the consoles. This is beautiful,
Well, and then you also have other developers that are upset, like a lot of some of these indie developers that do like walkthrough simulators sort of games, like. But at the end of the day, you have to make a quality product that people want to keep, right? That goes with anything in life, right? It has to be a decent enough quality that you don't want to return it,
right?
And so, I mean, to me, I think it's good because it keeps the people that make games honest, in regards to all that, and that's a good thing. Imagine if PlayStation had this and No Man's Sky came out, like. How many people would have kept No Man's Sky? You know what I mean? But you would have had people that bought it and would have returned it and not make a big deal out of it.
Well, they did, but remember PlayStation or Sony, whichever one you want to call them, they told them that we'll give you your money back, but you will not be able to do it again. You were not able to get a refund again, basically. I don't know if they gave them a stipulation of a year or if it was a lifelong, like, you can't get any more refunds. And that type of thing right there is why I have a problem with PlayStation. Like, are you kidding me? Like, there's plenty of games out there that I like. Berserker, I'm not going to pay $60 for Berserker. I don't give a fuck how you try to advertise that game. I know that game is only going to be about 6 hours long, and it's going to be a one-time experience, and I'm done. If this game is garbage, the camera and the controls is garbage, is piss water, I want my money back. I played 2 hours of it. I want my money back. If that's the difference, and it doesn't matter if. Whatever game it was, Xbox is that's customer friendly, and nobody should knock that. Nobody.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge plus, and honestly, hopefully it sets a trend, right?
Yeah,
I mean, this
is
a situation where Steam set the trend, right?
Yeah.
And we hope Microsoft sets a trend for their competitor to offer a similar service, in regards to that. It's protect their customers. It's also lowers the cost. You don't have to call into a call center all the time, right?
Right.
The only time you would have to go call in the call center if someone abused the program and didn't realize it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's a much better way to go about it. I would say so. I would hope it would promote everyone to do similar actions.
Right.
Maybe say Sony came off a better policy that works even better.
Yeah, that's what you want. I mean, we would hope PlayStation would follow suit and would like, okay, you know what, this is a good idea. We need to be more customer friendly. But let me keep going because there's more positive things I got for the Xbox. Xbox Game Pass. Another negative that I didn't get for the PlayStation was the PlayStation Now. Xbox Game Pass trumps that in every way, shape, or form. It's exactly what I think every PlayStation Now fan would want. And if like what I'm saying, we have a boy NFZF, it's Nazif. I guess that's what you can say in the short term. But yeah, whatever. But we have a boy in there. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him. Even I think that he would have to say like, yeah, the Xbox Game Pass is exactly what we were hoping that PlayStation Now would do. You know what I'm saying? That's perfect. You know what I'm saying? You get an opportunity to buy that game at a cheaper price. You only pay $10 a month. You know what I'm saying? It's basically kind of like EA Access. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to, rent a game, because I thought that was just absolutely disgusting. That like if I wanted to buy Final Fantasy 7, yeah. Well, I just want to say this: like if I wanted to buy Final Fantasy 12 or something, the Lightning series, and instead of me, I just want to buy the game. You don't have that option to buy that game. You just have that option just to rent it, and you got 90 days, and you're basically paying for what the game was at the beginning. That is bad. That is absolutely bad, and you're streaming that as well, which is absolutely worse because that game is going to be choppy. You know what I'm saying? That the Xbox Game Pass is perfect. Perfect.
The idea of playing on local hardware. I've always been not a pro streamer of gameplay. I mean, there's services that have come a long ways, and they will continue to come a long ways. But there's always going to be a true fact about streaming, and this is if Microsoft does it, even with some of their Beam technology, right? Literally, there's always going to be compression, so the quality of the image is not going to be as good. And there's always going to be latency, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
These are true facts. You can't get around it. It's just physics, right? So local hardware will always play a game better in regards to this. So that's what I liked about Game Pass as well. It just plays locally. It doesn't, you just download it, play it at your convenience, and remove it off your hard drive. That's as simple as that.
Yeah. It's really an awesome thing. Another thing is the download speeds. I don't know what the hell Xbot was talking about last night. Even Fonzarelli, you know what I'm saying, our PlayStation guy, you know what I'm saying, on GRG last night. Fonzarelli is PlayStation. He's I look at him kind of like Porter Rock, you know what I'm saying? But I think he's more stable than Porter Rock, because Porter Rock will go left sometimes. Fonzarelli is actually a real good, stable PlayStation guy. And he even had to say, Xbot, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? The download speeds between the PlayStation and Xbot, the Xbox is night and day. Like, I could download 4 or 5 games, and that shit will keep going. Will keep going. While I'm over here downloading 3 or 4 games on the PlayStation, that's just going to take me a couple of days.
Well, Xbox mostly downloaded some of the more indie-ish titles on that platform. I don't know if he's downloaded the Uncharted series or you just bought disc or whatever on that front. So if you compare indie to indies, maybe he's comparing indies to AAA. Or, there's always could be this too, like, download speeds are determined by, how close where that game's being downloaded from. And so it could be as simple as that. Like, he has just a really good connection to PlayStation.
Yeah. Well, I got a great connection to PlayStation. I got my shit. I got both my Xbox and my PlayStation hardwired. to my router.
But it's
Yeah.
not a router thing. It's from where where they're there's where you're downloading it from, right, to your router.
Yeah.
That area. So if you're basically at a shorter distance, your download speeds are going to be better. If that server is not being hit hard, your download speeds are going to be better. Those are like factual things, right?
Right.
So it could be something in relationship to that. 'Cause for me, download on Xbox One is ridiculous, but it's not fair. Their data center is like less than 5 miles away from my house, right? Like so. That's not a fair comparison, because if you compare PlayStation to that, like literally, I can download games faster than downloading them off a disc.
Well, okay. Well, Droho sit there and said, what I'm saying? I hope that I said that right. Droho? What? Oh, wow. All right. Well, that's cool. Whatever, bro. But anyway, he said you can go on your settings. If anybody's having problems with their download speeds on the PlayStation, Droho said you can go on into your settings on the PlayStation 4 and make your downloads quicker. There's a vid on YouTube for it. Well, appreciate it, because I got to look, because like I got Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War 3, and like 3 other games. Oh yeah, Titanfall 2, which I have no idea why I got Titanfall 2 on the PlayStation, because it's so dry there. It is so dry. But it's good to kick their ass, though. You know what I'm saying? It's good to wear them out, but it's dry. It's not a lot of people playing Titanfall 2 on the PS4. But regardless, it took me 3 days to get all those games downloaded. It was ridiculous. So thank you. You know what I'm saying? No, Buffalo Bill, I don't get schooled, bruh. You know what I'm saying? I'll be putting in that work on that on Titanfall with on the PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? Y'all need to come to that Xbox life. But let me keep going, because it's saying, damn, we were supposed to be an hour and a half, man. This is just a topic that just takes a long time, because there's some and so this is great. This is great.
Just keep it rolling, though.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Okay, so another thing is competitive prices. You know what I'm saying? And frequent sales. That was something that I should have also added for a positive for the PlayStation. PlayStation's like their flash sales are incredible.
I heard they're pretty good.
They are great. And I was like, oh, whoa, wait, Xbox, y'all better get it right. And Xbox have been doing these flash sales. I was thinking, like, because Steam had their sales, and it was supposed to be like the biggest, baddest thing ever. It's only been 1 year where I've seen the Steam sales has actually been amazing. For the last couple of years, the Steam sales has been mediocre, but Xbox spring sale was absolutely amazing. But PlayStation always come with some kind of flash sale every week, and Xbox is counteracted. But I still will give the nod to PlayStation, because PlayStation drops some of their games to crazy, abnormal prices. But again, like if you on PSN, which it pisses me off, instead of like highlighting that because you are a PSN member, they hide that shit, and and that's why I was like, that's why I put it as a con. But yeah, I think both companies are actually doing a really good job with that. But I mean, Xbox is doing a really good job with that. Man, the backwards capability. As much as a lot of PlayStation fans would like to dog out, Xbox for, they got all these old 360 games. Trust me, if Black Ops 2 was on the PlayStation 4, you guys would be throwing that shit at us all day, every night, and showing us gameplay and all of that. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's just a fact. Backwards capability is like another thing of customer service. It's really good. It's positive for the gamer. It's also, it brings back, for people who hasn't played a lot of old 360 games, like I've always stated, like back in my 360 PlayStation 3 days, I was working like, my God, like 12 to 17 hours a day. I was grinding. So I didn't get to play I played games, but I didn't get to grind on games like I wanted to. So now, like, you know what I'm saying, I don't get to work in that many hours like that. So, you know what I'm saying? So now, you know what I'm saying, it's beneficial to, I can go back and I can play some of these older games and get those experiences that I missed. And I think that that's a positive for all Xbox gamers out there. You know what I'm saying? The backwards capability is absolutely amazing. What do you think about that, Don?
I think backwards compatibility just adds value to the platform, right? If you already have games on that platform that work, you just pop them the disc. You just have to have an internet connection. Good to go.
Exactly.
If you bought them digitally, all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're just kind of there. I mean, it always kind of surprises me, like not just the games for gold, right? But every time I go into my games list, like I have this thing of ready to download, and the number just keeps increasing. I'm like, I'm not buying, I'm not buying any more games. What's going on? And they're just games I own digitally on the Xbox 360. I forgot about. And at the end of the day, I own those games. I own those licenses, right? So, be able to access those at any given point in time, like that's something my unborn children can play. They can play all my back-to-back games. They can do all that because they don't care, right? For me, I'll just continue to add, the newer stuff and good to go. But it's nice to have that option to be able to go back and play some of those older games, right?
Right.
Just because, sometimes you have a friend, like, for example, Southbound, he hasn't played through Halo Reach. He hasn't touched it at all. Back and Pat, right? We can go at any given point in time when we're both free and play that game together.
Yeah.
So that that has value to me because it's not that I haven't played that game already, a bunch of times, but there's that extra level when you play with a friend. That option, and so that's just something you have on that platform. I wish it was on the opposing platform. Game studios and publishers are seeing revenue, so that's a good thing as well. That helps strengthen the industry as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's more games is never a bad thing. Even
Never.
If it's an older game.
Never.
Like so.
Yeah. Now, all we need is Ninja Gaiden and well, there's some other couple of games, but if we could get now if they got the big boy in there, and you know what, and big middle finger to Activision for what they done because I already had Black Ops 2 already digital on my 360, so it just ported right over with all my DLC. And that's another thing. That's another good quality with the backwards compatible thing, because if you buy that game, if you've never purchased it before, when you buy that game, all the DLC is free. You don't have to pay for any of that DLC, which is awesome. But Activision, it got so popular that Activision raised the price from, I think it was $19.99 to $50. That's trash. That's absolute trash.
For the digital copy?
Yeah. I don't know for the digital copy. I just seen people complaining about it. Like I said, it was already free for me because I already had it digital on my 360. But there was a lot of people complaining and saying, I'm trying to get Black Ops 3 and it says it's like $49.99, and I'm like, that is garbage. Xbox, Xbox is held hostage to develop to the studio or to the company that owns that property. Yeah, to the publisher and if Activision don't give a damn about any of us. So that's really unfortunate. I feel bad for anybody that really wanted the game that bad, and if they paid that $50, I would say fuck them. Go to eBay, go to a garage sale, go look for Black Ops 2 anywhere else, and don't give Activision $50.
I have a different approach on that because I'm definitely a big pro buy anything digital or buy anything new. It goes to the publisher, but it also goes to the people that make the game, right? Right. Sometimes they're not responsible for those sort of decisions.
They made their money on this shit, Don. They made their money on this.
I get that. I get that. But I really feel like those people should always get credit for what they do. So my take on it is different. And Kim is going to have his, and I'm going to have mine. But I still say buy it new, but
not at $50. I'm not buying it.
You don't have to buy it now. As I would say, you don't have to buy it now. So you speak with your wallet.
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't sell at $45, guess what they're gonna, or $50? Guess what they're gonna have to do? They're gonna have to lower the price down again, right? So they sometimes the gamer feels like they're holding them hostage. It can be the other way around too. If you're you, the price will drop because it was less before.
It was
right?
$19.99, but yeah, Don, that I can't. You know what? I can't rock with that one with you. You know what I'm saying? You know what? You better be glad I don't have my patent and send it to Hades, because I send your ass to Hades for that one. You over here talking like you talking the developer talk. That's not right. Look, that game is old and decrepit, and that game did not deserve to be raised up to $50. You got to agree. You got to agree with that, bro.
No, I'm not saying the $50 price is right at all. I'm not saying that. Don't react to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, ultimately, at the end of the day, you are in charge of how much money you spend on something, right?
Right.
And so, this is a lesson for all consumers, right? And when it comes to games, and now that we're going more and more digital, you buy the game when it's at the price you think it's what it's worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if a game doesn't sell, eventually that price will have to drop, right?
Right.
And so I'm a pro developer getting the money, but the money that they earned, and what they earn is determined by the consumer, right? Mm-hmm. So, in regards to that, so that goes into making you more sequels to the game, or a different game, or whatever that is. It goes to maybe particular bonuses, the people that worked on the particular game, all that different type of stuff. Sometimes that bonus is what allows that individual developer to branch off and do their own thing, right? And maybe be the next great indie game. So that's why I say, like, you can hate the publisher, you can hate the studio or anything like that, but still buy the game new. Buy it when it's the right value for what it is. So if you're not happy with the particular raising of the price, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand why. Then no one's forcing you to buy that, and speak with your wallet. Wait for that price to drop, because it was $20 because it wasn't selling before, right? So once the sales die down, you go in where you feel the value is, right? Or you don't give them your money at all. One of the two, right?
I'm not giving my money at all. That's what I'm saying.
And that's, as a consumer, that's where I'm kind of going with it. But if it drops back down to $20, would you buy it?
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing about the backwards compatible thing that's been so positive, is that it hasn't gone over $20. This is the first game that's gone over $20. If you wanted to buy it. I mean, the backwards compatible games run from like $4.99 to $19.99. What Activision has pushed, because so many people gravitated to it, that is the reason why I do not like Activision. I do not want to really give them my money. But yeah, I mean, I know that the greed. That's the reason why we was talking about the cons with Nintendo, and said etc. Is that look, the greed is astronomical. That game should not be fucking $50. It shouldn't be. That we're talking about a game that it looks better on the Xbox One. It looks really, really good, but it's not that good enough for me to pay $50 for a game that I could have on my 360 for free. That's trash. That's absolute trash. So
I hear you.
Okay.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, and they've earned your dollar. I guess is where I'm kind of always coming from. So if $10 is earning your dollar, it's $20 to earn your dollar, or if it's $50, that's entirely up to you. Don't think if you just don't buy it, it won't drop in price, because it will. That's what happens on Steam, right? That's why it's not necessarily Steam sales, but Steam prices drop so low, is because they're trying to get that next wave of customers that are willing to buy the game, because it's still a little, the proposition of what they're offering is still a little too high. So.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, it's just that it's such a positive thing for the game, for the Xbox gamer, that it had to be tarnished by it had to be tarnished. from Activision. Every other game that's come out has not been that expensive, and you know what I'm saying, because they get it, they understand this is an older game. I mean, just like with Last Odyssey. I mean, this what, like close to 400 backwards compatible games now. I mean, Xbox is really pushing the envelope and saying like, look, we really want to get every 360 game out for backwards compatibility for the for you know, so for the Scorpio and for the Xbox One gamer, and that is the positive thing right there. And then, you know, of course Activision got to tarnish it, but let me go on, because you know what I'm saying, I don't want to keep going on and on forever for that. I got one.
Keep it.
Yeah. Okay.
Go through.
Yeah. I really only just got one. I only got two more things positive about the Xbox, and the Play Anywhere thing, the UWP. I you know what I'm saying, I'll be brief with that. I just think that that's perfect, because it sets up, you know, everybody was thinking that it was going to benefit the PC gamer more than it was the console gamer, but it's turning out to be more of the opposite, because once these UWP PC games start coming over to the Xbox, they're going to be more games coming over to the Xbox than there are to the PC, and that is a huge benefit. Like, you know, I said something about Warcraft. I got shot down by everybody. Like, that's never going to come, and it might not. It might not. I could be completely wrong on that, but for other games like, you know, like Conan and you know, just other PC games, like, I mean, if we can get an extra Civilization to come or anything of that nature, if that, like that new Star Wars, I mean, I don't know, just there will be more. You know what I'm saying, Xbox has already confirmed that there's going to be a lot of PC games that's going to be ported over through the UWP to come to the console. And so that is a benefit, and that's almost considered like an exclusive, because PlayStation will not be able to get some of these PC games that's been on PC to come over to the PlayStation. So that's another benefit. And my last point for another positive thing for the Xbox is Project Scorpio. Just for the mere fact that they're going to shut up the resolution babies. They're going to shut up the media. They're going to shut everything down. It's going to get back to what it's supposed to be about from the very beginning, and that's about the games. You know, who has the better games? What games are more credible? And fuck the power. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? There was something that one of these PlayStation people said on the chat. They were saying at one point it was about the games. Now it's reversed and it's about the power. Well, that is true. There's no denying that. But Xbox is like, look, we've heard this so much about, and it's not about this 50% more power thing, and it's not even been nowhere near that. We're going to shut this shit down for good.
Well, I think the argument, it's always been both, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's always been the core and the other core audience kind of arguing with one another about those things, because those are the talking points, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is about power, because people want the games to look the best that they possibly can. That's the reason why we get new hardware.
Right.
Otherwise, we'd still be on the PlayStation 1. Let's be honest, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it is about the games as well, right? So, you know, the main reason why I don't own a PlayStation personally right now is they don't have games that appeal to me. It doesn't mean they don't have bad games. They just don't have the games that really resonate with me personally, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they are working on games that I am interested in, right? I like God of War. God of War is one of my jams. I love that game.
Mm-hmm.
I like Horizon Zero Dawn for the little bit I've tried, right? So they just need to get another banger for me, right?
Yeah.
Another one that I really would like, and I'll buy it. And it is about games, and for me, it is about power too, because I will probably, when I do it, I will end up buying a Pro, but mostly because I would imagine it's going to be, you know, around the holiday season or after the new year when I'll end up buying one, because they'll have the games that I want, and then by that time, the Pro will probably be running better. So, you know, it is about both, and Scorpio is great because you know, it's not an argument anymore. You can't argue about it anymore because they have a more powerful system, so it's just not a talking point anymore, which is great.
Right. All right, cool. That was my last part about the positive for all the systems. I will, I do got one more topic, but I'm going to let you just address it. I'm going to address this with everybody on the GRG podcast, and I'll address it then. I won't say anything about it now. But I do want to hear your take on it, and that's Uncharted. The Uncharted DLC is $40. Okay. I know that if you bought it early, if you bought it like I guess the deluxe edition, I don't know, whatever. If you bought Uncharted 4, that DLC is free. I don't know if it's like a deluxe edition or whatever, but this goes to all DLC. Like if this Uncharted thing like blows up and people buy it at $40, it's supposed to be like a 10-hour experience. What do you think about this? I mean, what do you think about this?
Because I'm not a huge Uncharted fan, and everyone in the chat, please, I know that's blasphemy to anybody, even people that are. How long is the last Uncharted game? Like, how long does it take to get? Like, if you play it like a normal person.
I haven't beat Uncharted yet. I've already put in like 3.5 hours into it. I've heard it's a good like 15 hours. I've heard it's like 10 to 15 hours. I can't really actually tell you because I haven't beat the game yet. So anybody in the chat, please let us know how long Uncharted 4 was. How long did it take you to beat that game? And not on crushing either, but on any level before crushing on down.
Yeah, well, let's use that number for our starting point, right? So 10 to 15 hours of gameplay, roughly for the standalone game before you get into the DLC standalone stuff, right?
Right.
The DLC is pretty heavy. I mean, I guess it almost sounds like the issue is the word DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a complete game, but a shorter game.
People are telling me from 10 to 13 hours.
It's in the ballpark, right? So
yeah.
Let's also keep in mind, like when a lot of times when people say hours, certain developers say hours. People can easily beat that stuff in half the time if they wanted to, right?
Right.
And maybe the normal person may end up getting a little bit longer or around that. So 10 hours give or take, right? So it's not too far off from the regular Uncharted game. And, if it's the normal quality that you expect from the people that like Uncharted as far as the visuals and the gameplay and the story elements go, I think that's a great thing in regards to this. I think this is a lot of stuff, too, that was kind of holding back the DLC. I think it was kind of the things that was causing a lot of delays for the original Uncharted.
Could be.
And they kind of, I think somewhere in the development process, they kind of cut the fat out and they said, we'll readdress this in more of a kind of a standalone type situation. That's my theory. I have no insight on it at all. Just kind of my take on it.
Yeah.
But if you're having close to the same amount of time, just shy of that, charging $40, it sounds like a good, decent deal. I mean, how much was Recore? $40 when it came out?
Recore is, but you putting in 30, 40, 50 hours into Recore though. I know that they had their problems with the ending, because there was still a bot that wasn't there, but people still put in 20 plus hours in the Recore. I got about like 20 hours in the Recore, and I'm not even nowhere near done yet.
Well, and it's also one of those things like it's an RPG compared to a story-based game, right? In regards to it, to me, for what you're getting, as long as the quality's there, right?
Right.
It has to have that Uncharted polish that people really love from an Uncharted game. And if it's got that, and it's got those deep story elements, and the reasons why someone would buy an Uncharted game, if all the checkboxes are there, and it's only a 3-hour difference in the experience, $40 seems fair.
Okay, all right.
That's just.
I don't. $40 for some DLC, but you know what?
But is it? are you like that because they call it DLC?
No,
Because if they just called it a shorter Uncharted game,
I don't.
download.
I don't think that they have the multiplayer aspect with it as well. I don't. I don't know.
That's a fair assessment too.
I
mean,
think
that's valid.
I think $30 is the perfect price. And that, you know what I'm saying, $30 I wouldn't complain so much. I would have copped it for $30, but I seen that $40 price. I was like, eh. But like I said, I'm not going to get too much into it because I got to ask everybody on the panel next week about that, because that was something that they really wanted to talk about. So, you know, I'm just letting you
Down
end
to
that
that
with
whole
that.
where's the price worth it for you, right? It's that
Yeah.
same question, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, $40 is not worth it for you. That's fair. As a consumer, you can say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, developer may get offended by that, but at the end of the day, that's a fair assessment as a consumer. You're absolutely entitled to that, right? So what you do, you wait until it's basically a price that you feel that it's worth.
Right. Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You speak with your wallet, you get your value, you know. And honestly, you know, this is maybe contrary to some people's beliefs, right? If I make a game and I'm selling for $40 and people don't feel it's worth $40, but they feel it's worth 30 or 20 and they buy it when the price drops down, right? Guess what? That customer is probably going to have a better experience. It's why? Because they don't feel like they got taken advantage of. Does that make sense?
Right, that makes sense.
And so if that customer leaves, say spending $20 on the first title, right? And they really like it, goes, you know what? I'm going to buy it full pop next time. I can't wait for the next one, right? And they pay for $50 or $40, whatever the original cost of the sequel is, right? They're going to feel like they get their money's worth, and they're not going to feel cheated, and their guard is down when it comes to making a sequel. Like, always buy when it's the right price for you.
Right.
That's fine.
There's somebody that's named Luke Tyler. He said, the Uncharted DLC, if you buy it separately, you will be allowed to play the Uncharted 4 multiplayer. But the Uncharted multiplayer is dead, from my understanding. I don't know. If you can play the multiplayer, then that's cool. I still find that fucking $40 price to be a little high for an year-old game. But you know what? It is what it is. Like I said, I'll have my take on it in full aspect this next Friday. You know, I wanted Don to address it. You know what I'm saying? So we'll just go ahead and end it there. I appreciate everybody to be associated with. We was doing it live. So go ahead and give your shout outs, Don. I'm finna go ahead and make a bathroom break, so make it pretty long. I'm finna go ahead and move on again.
The door this time, they can hear you.
Oh, they can hear me? Okay, all right, I'll close the door next time. All right, I'm out. Go ahead.
The Don _ KTR on Twitter if you guys want to follow me. It's Don the space KTR on Xbox Live. You can follow me. I do have a YouTube channel. I don't really talk a lot on the YouTube channel. I try to stay away from a lot of the console war type stuff on there. Do have a video up on Happy Little Polygons, which is my YouTube channel, that has a basically what it takes to scale from art assets on far as game titles, and it's really addressing, you know, people's concerns with, like, for example, the standard PS4 and the PS4 Pro. How that kind of works is the PS4 Pro going to make it so be held back by the standard PS4, or vice versa? Is it going to be an issue getting better quality games on the Pro? And I just kind of address it from art asset side of things, and I also do it, you know, obviously addressing Scorpio and standard Xbox One S, and it just shows that honestly you guys have really nothing to worry about. If you're kind of curious how the sausage is made, that's done behind the scenes. K-Mango's an old man, so he'll be in the bathroom a little bit later than usual. And honestly, shout out to all you guys, man. I mean, more than 5 people late at night after, you know, something that we don't normally do every day. That is absolutely huge. Even some of the trolls in the chat, you know who you are, and you show up to all our podcasts. But honestly, you're a gamer. We have nothing but love for you guys, and all the diehards that are fans of us. We honestly appreciate it. I'm truly humbled by everybody that honestly shows up.
Woo! I'm back. Okay.
Here?
Yeah, I'm back.
Man. I didn't take
Hey,
a breath. I just kept going.
good deal, man. Well, I need to stop drinking this hooch before we do our podcast. My goodness. Woo, but it's, I'm saying, it's Saturday night, so I'm just over here doing my thing, and it just hit me. So anyway, okay, you did all your shout outs and everything. Good deal. Appreciate everybody coming on, checking us out. Man, I guess for me, check out the GRG podcast every Friday night. We are doing it on a new channel. We're doing it on the GRG podcast YouTube channel. That's the reason why a lot of people probably didn't know that we were going live last night. So please go subscribe to us there. We'll also have the people that's a part of the GRG. They'll be putting out their videos on that channel as well. And me and Don will be doing our thing whenever we can catch each other. We'll definitely keep doing this developer and the gamer thing because from my understanding, a lot of people like it. So we appreciate all the people that participated tonight. Thank you so much. And is there anything else you want to leave with, Don?
No, just a request. Put a link to the GRG channel at the bottom of this. So if you guys catch this, it's all associated with GRG.
Yes.
And that way we'll have